to give truth, justice, order, reciprocity, balance, divine righteousness, and harmony in the midst of all of these types of things. So I would like to just take a moment for us to just be in a space of reflection as we move through things that are challenging, as we embrace that frame, that stage, that feeling, that emotion of grief, and transmutate through that. So if we take a deep breath together in a space that is prayerful, meditational, and healing, and let it out gently and slowly so that you cleanse every portion of your being to restore balance, to restore order, to restore justice. Sometimes it's just taking a moment and breathing into our own truths and vibrations. So I'm very grateful, Sister Queen Angela, for you setting a grounding and giving voice and power to that. I see that we have some of our other sistren in the space. Sister Patrice, Sister Queen Patrice, give thanks. Sister Queen Triveda, give thanks. It's just an honor and a privilege to be able to offer some things and to offer some word sounds and strength in this time. Sometimes when we talk about these more challenging experiences, it comes with such a tremendous amount of pain and discomfort that we get stuck. I was reasoning with a sister, hence part of my delay tonight, and it went from what was supposed to be just a 1 hour conversation engagement. Some people like to call it therapy. And sometimes you wonder, are you the one coming for therapy or are you the therapist? And how do you engage with that? And how do you heal through some of that? And it also allows for us to speak about how do you heal through things that are so painful, whether it's the loss of a loved one, a tragic engagement with someone that you care for, not necessarily death, but something in terms of having persons that are incarcerated unjustly or due to circumstances authentically outside of their control. How do you handle that? How do you survive and thrive through that? How do you move from just being a wounded victim to being an empowered survivor? And hopefully, not just surviving, but thriving. And how do you bring that into the frame? There's an opportunity for us when we're looking at some of the different experiences that are befalling all of humanity, whether it is natural, man made, interfered disasters. There's persons that are still reeling from hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, fires, and a multiplicity of other experiences, tsunami, flooding, and they have to survive and prayerfully thrive through the experience. How do people handle these different layers and embrace love in the midst of all of this? How do you handle grief? What are some things that you can say? And one of the persons that I always like to highlight when I encourage persons to go to SISDR, it's sisdoctor.com. And there you can see some different testimonials of how persons address some of these issues that affect each and every one of us, whether it's grief, some significant type of trauma, whether it's intergenerational, if it's more immediate, and sometimes we overlook ancestral trauma, things that are an integral part of what makes up who we are and how we identify ourselves. But looking at Sister Doctor's space on leadership and life coaching and similar pieces, there's a cultural sensitivity that is central to some of her work. And the idea is to always vibrate higher than the frequency that is creating the grief that you're experiencing. I think it's also very important in some of her work. She speaks of how we reconnect and strengthen high performing, inclusive spaces where we work, where we recreate,